You have Nia Jax, who's a heel, and she's not liked by the IWC. You have her come in and beat Zoe Stark like that. It should have just, they could have done something, an interference, a DQ. They could have done something, and I feel like this is kind of an issue. Albert just brought it up in the chat too. He said Raquel lost clean to Nia as well, and that's true. And these are people that could be potential stars for you. So you don't necessarily, I don't like throwing out the term buried. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think if you say that they're buried, I think that's problematic, but because I don't think she's been buried. I just think it's like a dumb booking decision. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you only have one prize to win. Okay? And it's going to lead me to another topic that's really important. WWE needs a women's championship belt for the midcard. Because when I see Zoe Stark lose, and I see Zoe Stark lose to Nia Jax, I see Raquel lose to Nia Jax. Again, as I said before, we know that they're trying to build Nia Jax for Rhea Ripley. You have a ton of women talent on your roster. They can have an Intercontinental Championship, a North American Championship. They can have a United States Championship. They can do anything they want, but they need to have a mid-card championship belt for the women. Because here's the thing. Zoe Stark, Chelsea Green, Natalya, Piper Niven. There's so many people on that women's roster that can benefit from having a mid-card title. The problem is, if they're not on a women's tag team and they're not competing against Rhea Ripley, the likelihood of them winning anything or being relevant without that belt, it's slim, because WWE is just getting to the point of where you're starting to see multiple women's storylines pop up. So I look at WWE from that perspective of things, and I think, wow, if they had a women's championship, Zoe Stark wouldn't need to be involved with Nia Jax. She wouldn't need to be fed to Nia Jax. The reality is, she would actually be much better off if she had a mid-card championship belt, defending it against people like Tegan Nox. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, Xia Li. You got to keep in mind, Becky Lynch didn't even have a match tonight. So, Xia Li, Tegan Nox, Candice LeRae, Indy Hartwell, Zoe Stark, Piper Niven. Like, there's a plethora of women who have nothing to really fight for because they're not at that level to compete against Rhea Ripley. You got to establish a main event scene for the women, and you got to establish and build up that mid-card. If they have nothing to fight for at the very top, it is very difficult for them to get anywhere unless they have a prize worth fighting for. And this is the reason why Gunther has been super special with the IC title, because we know Gunther wants to be the best wrestler. We know that he wants to be presented as the best. But in order for him to do that, he's got to make history as the Intercontinental Champion. Eventually, he's going to drop that belt and eventually become a world champion because they've presented it as such. In order to make that happen for the women, they have to introduce a mid-card championship belt. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If they don't introduce a mid-card championship belt, I feel like it's detrimental to the women. I really do. I feel like you look at Raquel Gonzalez. You're not going to have Raquel take the belt off Rhea Ripley right now, but Raquel would be a perfect person to hold a mid-card championship. The only thing that's problematic about the mid-card title for women is the fact that you would have to introduce one for Raw and introduce one for SmackDown because there is a true brand split happening. And with that brand split that they have, you have to keep in mind Nick Aldis is the general manager for SmackDown, Adam Pearce is the general manager for Raw. The women's tag titles are already back and forth between both. They need to figure that out. I feel like it would be a massive game changer for the company. And on top of that, you would actually be helping the careers of a lot of women there. And again, the idea is for them to progress and get bigger and better. The only way they're going to do that is having a prize. 100%. I firmly believe that. And there was rumors in the past that WWE want to introduce a mid-card championship for the women. Maybe they should test it out in NXT as well, because NXT is already stacked with the women's roster. But when you have such a stacked roster, man, you got to do a little bit more. And you got to do a little bit more for these women, because Zoe Stark losing to Nia Jax, you're literally hurting her potential momentum. You're kind of slowing down her acceleration just for Nia Jax to eventually get fed to Rhea Ripley. And the whole purpose of that is to make Rhea Ripley the best in the women's division. And I understand that mentality, but at the end of the day, to make one person look good, you cannot be making other people look bad in the process. WWE has to fix that. WWE has to get better with that, because for as much good as WWE is doing, that is an area of improvement that is needed. You got to start building up that women's mid-card. Tonight on Raw, there was no matches for Indy Hartwell or Candice LeRae or Xia Li. And they've been involved on Raw in recent weeks, and that's fine. They don't have to be on TV every single week, but it's not like all those names are quite established yet. So if they're not truly established yet, that is problematic. And it's problematic for WWE because, again, if you're not building stars, right? If you're relying on the same 10 names every single week, it could hurt your overall business. The formula is pretty simple. Build stars. Build out your mid-card. Build out your main event. And keep the process moving like a ladder. Have everybody get up that ladder, get to the very top, and you see better business results. So that's one of my complaints about AEW as well. It's like, aside from a few names, nobody cares about anything else. This solves that problem for WWE. I would really like to see that changed. Hey, thanks guys for watching this highlighted clip from my WWE Raw live stream review. If you guys want to watch the full video in its length, make sure you guys check out the link in the description or somewhere up here on the screen. You never want to miss these live streams. They're always interactive and they always have great conversations formed by the community. And if you guys are into that type of thing, you should definitely check them out. Thank you for watching.